surprise teams and letdown teams. I think there's a few letdown teams that's pretty obvious, to be honest with you. Pretty obvious. So we'll try to go a little bit deeper than just the obvious. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So I'm working on, I don't know if y'all know this, I have 2 devices because I'm doing screen sharing, and I try to keep track of what y'all are saying on my phone. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm checking on the comments to see what you guys are saying. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do more lives because my brother helped me set up the screen share, and I think that's gonna help with the quality of show. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but every time I've done a live show, my first 3 live shows through screen share, I'm trying to figure out the correct angle. So if y'all, who's ever seen all my lives as far as the past 2 days, let me know which angle. So far, I'm really liking this angle. I changed the mic angle. Really digging this angle. I just have to remember that the camera's there. That's the only problem. Sometimes I want to look straight ahead, and you guys are to my left, not straight ahead. So y'all let me know what angle. Bubba Clemson, that's how I planned it. That's actually not a bad name for this live show, the Dinner Rush. That's a good idea. You might have started something big, man. You might have started something big. I like that name, the Dinner Rush. So the team that people are focusing on, and I think rightfully so in 2021, is Georgia. I have Georgia as one of my playoff teams. The reason everybody has them going to the playoffs is because they return everybody on offense. And if you go back, I've said this before, but I have to make this point every time. If you go back and look at the 2020 stats, no team, 0, that made the playoffs were in the top 10 in defense. That's not saying that defense is not important. It's just not as important. So when you're looking to make your playoff picks, you need to look for a team that has a great offense and a decent defense. Terrible defense, not going to get you there. Decent defense, great offense. And I think Georgia fits the profile. You go back to 2020, look at the offensive stats. 3 of the playoff teams that made the playoffs were in the top 10. The only team that made the playoffs in 2020 that was not in the top 10 was Notre Dame, and it looked like they didn't belong. So, if anything, Notre Dame proves that point even more. They were the only team out of the 4 playoff teams that was not in the top 10 in total offense, and they got obliterated. So, yeah, I'm putting a lot of stock into offense in 2021. And that's why I like Georgia. I like Georgia. I like Oklahoma. But Georgia returns the most. They return basically everybody on offense. They got JT Daniels. And if you watched Georgia last year with Stetson Bennett, they looked like trash. Not going to lie. They look like trash. But JT Daniels stretched onto the field. Not only is he a great quarterback, he's a great leader. So they got JT Daniels coming back, confirmed. He announced it. He will be back. You got Curious Jackson, Jermaine Burton, Darnell Washington, Zamir White, their running back, Dominic Blaylock, just a ton, everybody. And so I think Georgia's going to be stout. I think Georgia's going to make the playoffs. The only question for me, and I have Georgia beating Clemson, not because I think Georgia will, be the better team from beginning to end, but Georgia has everybody coming back. They'll be there for that first game. Everybody's used to everybody. Clemson has to replace, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Amari Rodgers. They're replacing a lot on offense. That's not saying they're going to have a bad offense. It's just that first game is going to be an adjustment game for Clemson, and that's why I have Georgia winning that game. By the end of the year, I do have Clemson making the playoffs, probably beating North Carolina in the ACC Championship. Then again, that's not set in stone type of deal because North Carolina's going to be a really great team too. But I do think Clemson will be good enough to beat North Carolina, get into the playoffs. I think Georgia has the potential, and I have them beating Clemson, and their schedule is not that hard. I'm going to pull it up real quick, actually. To have an undefeated season, get to the SEC championship. My only question is, how good will Alabama be at the end of the year? Because Alabama has to replace everybody as well. Mike Jones is gone. Najee Harris is gone. Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith, he's gone. Jalen Waddle, he's gone. Ohio State's looking at the same situation, and that's why I have two newcomers, Georgia and Oklahoma. But we all know that Alabama and Clemson are perennial powerhouses, so I'm not counting those two out. But Georgia and Oklahoma are set up very, very nicely to make a playoff run. And I do think that Georgia's going to make it. C.D. Morgan, he's in the house. Buddy, I just watched your training video. I saw that it was uploaded 2 weeks, but for some reason, I didn't get the notification. And that seems to be happening to everybody. YouTube is having this situation to where notifications are not working. So, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but a lot of people are having that issue. So, hopefully, they'll get their act together. It was a good video, by the way. I liked it. CD says, my jacket's going to be pretty good now. Pretty good. There's a difference between pretty good and playoff good. But yeah, I got you. I think Georgia Tech makes a bowl next year. Yeah, I truly do. We saw them get better and better throughout the year in 2020. So I do think Georgia Tech will take another step forward, make a bowl. But not going to contend for the ACC. I don't see that happening. So here's Georgia's schedule. You'll see it sets up really nicely. That first game, Clemson. And then after that, you got home games against UAB and South Carolina wins. At Vanderbilt, win. Arkansas, win. At Auburn. Might be tricky, but Auburn's not going to be that good. New coach, Bo Nix, hasn't turned out to be what everybody thought he was going to be. I think that's a win. Kentucky, win. Florida going to take a big step back. That's a win. Here's the game right here that I'm looking at. Missouri. Missouri's going to be a much better team in 2021. They return a lot. Their offense, very explosive. It is at Georgia, and I did a video on how people are preparing for full capacity, so home field advantage really might matter in that. So I'm going to give Georgia the benefit of the doubt and give them the win there. At Tennessee, big win. Charleston Southern, win. And sorry, C.D. Morgan, win at Georgia Tech. So, yeah, I actually have Georgia going undefeated, and it just depends on how Alabama looks at the end of the year. And is it going to be one of those years where Alabama takes a big enough step backwards to where somebody else wins the SEC West? That's what I'm interested in, because year after year people want to automatically make Alabama the winner of the SEC West, and Alabama is Alabama. They're going to be good every year, but they're not great every year. It seems to me they're on this trend of being great every other year. Now, the in-between years, they're not bad. They're really, really good. They're just not championship good. And I think this is that year that Alabama's not going to be championship good, because they have to replace way too much. And people forget that they're having to replace a lot of coaches. That's a big deal. So you got to take everything into consideration. And that's the big thing about Alabama. Not saying they're going to be bad. I'm not even saying that they're going to miss the playoffs. I think there's a potential that they miss the playoffs like they did in 2019. But it's just hard for me to look at any team in the SEC West and be like, yeah, they can beat Alabama. LSU is going to be better. Auburn's going to stink. Arkansas is going to be a little bit better, but not elite. Who else we got? Texas A&M, but they lost Kellen Mond. I think they take a slight step backwards. Mississippi State, not very good. So, Ole Miss maybe, but Ole Miss doesn't have a very good defense. So, I don't know. And the Ole Miss game is going to be at Alabama. I just don't see anybody out of the West challenging Alabama. But what I'm going to do, I am going to pull up Alabama's schedule real quick, because I do know that they have Miami at the beginning of the season, and a lot of people are gift wrapping that game for Alabama before the season starts. That's a mistake, guys. That is a big mistake, to be honest with you. So here's their schedule. We're gonna skip the Miami game just for the time being. After Miami, you have Mercer. That's a win. At Florida, win. Southern Miss, win. Ole Miss, since it's at Alabama, I'll give them a win. At A&M, they'll take a step back, win. At Mississippi State, win. Tennessee, win. LSU at home, that could be tricky. New Mexico State, win. Arkansas, win. At Auburn, win. So the two games I'm looking at is LSU at home and then Miami. And the reason I'm saying do not just automatically think that Alabama is going to beat Miami, especially in blowout fashion. A lot of people have Alabama beating Miami in blowout fashion. They're going by history. You can't go by history. You have to go by what they have now. Yes, Alabama recruits great. Has the best recruiting class ever. But there's always an adjustment. There's always a learning curve. Why do you think Alabama doesn't win the national championship every year? They're good every year, but they don't win the national championship every year because there's always an adjustment. They're literally doing as good as you can do because there are cycles, and you're going to lose a lot of talent between cycles. What Nick Saban is great at is shortening that adjustment period. He does shorten it. I will give him that, but that adjustment period is there. That's a natural progression. You can't really get around that. That's how when you're coming from high school to college, the speed of the game is faster. So you have to learn that adjustment and getting the game to slow back down to where it feels more normal instead of, oh my gosh, this is going way too fast. It doesn't matter how good you are. It's that adjusting to the speed of the game. And that's why Alabama doesn't win the national championship every year. It's a natural thing. That's not trash talk towards Alabama. Alabama is an elite program. They are a dynasty right now. But college football is completely different from the NFL. You can't just re-sign people and keep them there forever. Guys graduate. Some guys transfer. It happens. Recruit well, which is what they do, and shorten that learning curve as much as possible. And Nick Saban is the best at doing that. That's where his bread and butter is. He is so good at shortening that learning curve. And that's why Alabama usually only goes through maybe, a month worth of having to adjust. But the problem is, you can grab a loss or two in that month. And that's why sometimes they don't make the national championship. Sometimes they don't make the playoffs. Whatever the case may be. It's because that small gap, that's all it takes for you to not be a championship team. Just a small gap. And that's what I think is going to happen in 2021. I am really excited, guys. I'm getting really, really super close to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate all my subscribers. If you happen to be new and you just stumbled across this stream, you're like, man, what the heck is Golden Blue, dude? I've never heard of this guy. Well, I've had this YouTube channel for about a year and a half. I've been building, grinding videos every day. You can ask my subscribers. I do not miss a day, so I would greatly appreciate your subscription and keep this thing going. But what I want to talk about is this. It's really cool. So I'm already getting prepared. So I got the 1. I don't know if y'all can see that. I got the 1, 0, 0, and 0. So I got the balloons. We're gonna have the balloons, and I don't know if y'all know this, but I've already had this made. I've had it in my background, so you probably already know. I got my banner. So I am fully prepared for my 1,000. I am fully prepared for my 1,000 subscriber show. I'm talking to my brothers. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to join me, because the reason I wanted to get my brothers on is because they're the ones that actually got me to start doing this. It was actually my youngest brother, Ben. He got me started on this. gave me the push. Really, really nervous that first video. Oh my gosh. If you go back and watch it, it's it's not good. It's not good. But you know, that's how you have to start. I mean, you'll never do anything unless you make that first step. So I appreciate my brother for doing that, and that's why I wanted to get on the 1,000 subscriber show. All right, let me look at the comments real quick. Jaden says, Arkansas, baby. Yeah, I think Arkansas makes a bowl. Unless you're talking about basketball, I think Arkansas is a 2 seed. You might want to clarify what sport you're talking about. All right, so Logan says, Georgia is good. Ask a Cincinnati fan. Yep, they played Georgia at their very best, but Cincinnati had a chance to win that game. Cincinnati has another chance to be the best of the group of 5. The problem is the playoff committee sent a message last year. They're not going to vote a group of 5 team in. It's not going to happen. Last year was the best chance, and they still said no. So I feel bad for Cincinnati fans, but that's what's up. Rise here, man. Rise is he's a loyal guy. He tries to watch my video, right off the bat. So I appreciate his support. S. Michael D. Hart, a.k.a. W. Mounties 8. That is a long name, but I got it out. He's here. I appreciate that, bud. Sea-Dog in the house. Bubba Clemson's in the house. And he's the one that mentioned Dinner Rush, which I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to write that down. That's a good name. There you go, Bubba. I'm going to give you the credit, too. So, the name of this, the name of these particular live streams in mid-afternoon is going to be called The Dinner Rush. I love it. Who else is in here? Jim Hamrick, man. What's going on, man? I haven't heard from you in a while. Now that Mild Bobo is the OC at Auburn, expect quarterback QB Nix to improve a great deal. Yeah, that was one of Bo Nix's biggest problem is, number one, he's gone through several offensive coordinators, and number two, the offensive coordinators that he's played for sucked. So I actually 100% agree with that. Morgantown, Florida will be a tough game for Bama. No. Bama's going to blow Florida out. The reason is, look at last year. Dan Mullen, he's not going to last very long at Florida. Hear me out. Look at what he did last year with a truckload of talent. I mean, he had one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. He had a decent running game, a lot of great wide receivers. The defense was clicking. They still ended up with 3 losses. And they lose pretty much everybody on offense. I think Florida takes a massive step backwards. I don't think they even finish second in the SEC East. I have Georgia and Missouri and then Florida. So, yeah, Alabama will handle Florida quite easily, to be honest with you. Luke's Productions in the house. What's going on, bud? Yeah, I appreciate the support, Morgantown. Let's get to 1K. We're working on it, man. We're working on it. Sea-Dog says, I finished painting your sign last night. Finally. And check your Twitter, man. I asked what room you're in. So I'm coming up Friday evening for the Slob Olympics. I just need to know what room you're going to be in. And yes, I do have a blow-up mattress. Yeah, I can't wait for the slobs. It's going to be fun. And that was a good training video, by the way. So, the Alabama's saving grace as far as getting to the national championship is they do have a pretty decent schedule. It's just that first game, Miami. The reason I'm saying do not automatically give that game to Alabama is the only key piece that Miami lost was Brevin Jordan. And it was kind of an even exchange because wide receiver Charleston Rambo from Oklahoma transferred to Miami. So it's really not that big of a step down. The biggest question will be, will De'Aaron King be 100%? The answer to that question will determine how this game goes. If De'Aaron King is 100%, Miami has a legitimate shot of upsetting Alabama. They're recruiting well on defense. I expect that defense to be much, much better. Alabama loses a ton. I mean a ton on offense. I've already mentioned it. Learning curve in progress. And I think it's going to be the same situation as the Georgia-Clemson game. You're going to have two elite programs in Clemson and Alabama, but they lose a ton of talent on offense. I do think Clemson's defense is going to be good because they have 10 starters coming back. Same thing with Alabama. So Alabama and Clemson will have to rely on their defenses to start the year until that adjustment period is over with. So I have Georgia beating Clemson straight up, and I have Alabama on upset alert against Miami, and that upset depends on De'Aaron King. If De'Aaron King is not 100%, Alabama will beat Miami. I don't know how bad. Could be really, really bad, but De'Aaron King is the key to that game. So all eyes will be on De'Aaron King whenever that game is about to go down. I would say he needs to be at least 90%. Anything below 90%, and I just don't know if he'll be effective enough to allow Miami to win that game. Because, like I said, Alabama is Alabama. So, let's see, what conference do I want to do first? Let me see real quick. I'm going to do the Big 12 real quick. So, there's your final rankings for... Give me one sec, guys. I got to clear this off. All right, so there's your final rankings for 2021. You got Iowa State and Oklahoma pretty much tied for first place. Oklahoma State did finish strong last year, strong-ish, ended up third place, and then Texas. So the letdown teams, I think Oklahoma still wins the conference. Give me a sec, guys. Oklahoma, Iowa State. The top two will be the same. The big shift that you're going to see is right here, guys. Right under Iowa State and Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma takes first and Iowa State second. Iowa State, yeah. Oklahoma and Texas, those are your two fall-off teams in the Big 12. Remember what I said at the beginning. I'm going to talk about surprise teams and your letdown teams. In the Big 12, mark it down, it's going to be Oklahoma and Texas as far as letdown teams. And Mike Gundy could be on the hot seat after next season. Remember, Texas already got rid of their coach, Tom Herman, which I actually think was a big mistake. I know last year was kind of iffy, but that was I call it the COVID curve. Tom Herman is a good coach. Do you know where I would like to see Tom Herman at? I think he would be a perfect fit at Miami. I think Miami actually needs Tom Herman's attitude. Manny Diaz, he's not a terrible coach, but I don't think he's a high-caliber type of coach. He's already shown that he's not really good at spotting needs and talent as far as recruiting. They missed on some big prospects in South Florida. I mean, in their neck of the woods, and it's not because somebody else just beat Miami. He didn't even go after them. It doesn't make any sense. So Tom Herman, I think, would be a perfect fit for Miami. I would actually like to see that happen. I think he's the one person, and I'm being serious, thinking about all the coaches, and I'm going to even include Urban Meyer. I'm thinking about all the coaches, all the great coaches, all the good coaches in the nation right now that's coaching right now. And to me, the name that pops out for Miami would be Tom Herman as far as bringing back the swag at Miami. And that's what Miami needs. They need the swag. That's their recruiting tool. That's what Miami is known for. So if Miami doesn't have the swag, they don't have the edge. That's what gives Miami the edge in recruiting. It's that swag. That is... that is very appealing to younger guys. So I really think that Tom Herman should be at Miami. So maybe one day that would happen. I would actually like to see that. I didn't like him at Texas. It just looked like he wasn't fitting in, but I do think he had Texas in the right direction. Yes, they had a letdown year, but to me, that was a COVID year. things were weird. I mean, look at Penn State. They had so many opt-outs that they freaking dropped off the face of the earth. Although I do think that their season could have been better had that 2-point conversion against Indiana in overtime not counted. I think their season would have looked a whole lot different. But that tells you one play can make a big difference, because Indiana went on to have a great season and Penn State went on to have a terrible season. Mental games. Penn State was not mentally tough last year because one game wrecked their season. All right, so Jaden, Arkansas. Oh, yeah, I already mentioned that. But you never specified whether that was football or basketball. So if you're still in the house, please specify, because I do think Arkansas will be better in football, and I have Arkansas as a 2 seed in basketball. Carson the Rapper, will you stream the West Virginia game today? That's a good question. That just depends on my kids and wife. It's, you never know what's going to happen. But as of right now, no. But it still could happen. Short answer, no, but possibly. Jim says, I love your channel, but like I told you before, I don't care about basketball. And right now, understandably, you are doing a lot of that. You're still number one for football. That's why I'm doing football today, because I do know that people love football. Basketball is great, and it is March Madness, and I have to do shows on March Madness. I have to, and I do like basketball, and I know basketball too. Maybe not quite as much as football, but pretty close. But that's why I'm doing a football show today, because we do need football. Morgantown says, oh yeah, GBD, was your brother able to get back to you? If so, what did he say? No, he hasn't got back to me, but he might be watching. If he is, check your text messages, man. I sent you some screenshots. It's about some business about this channel. Let me know. Okay, I got you, Sea-Dog. You don't know your room number to check in. That makes sense. I don't know why I asked that. Jim Hamrick, this is a good comment. This is what I'm talking about. I liked Tom Herman at Houston, but not Texas. Maybe he should go back to a group of 5 team. That's actually not a bad idea. I just think overall Texas just wasn't a good fit for Tom Herman, and that's why I like him at Miami. He needs a school that will give him a little bit of, well, not a little bit. He needs a school that's going to give him a leash, and I think Miami would do that. And I think that attitude would actually benefit him recruiting for Miami. That attitude recruiting for Texas, not so much. That's not what Texas is known for. Texas is known for more of a blue collar attitude, and he was definitely not the blue collar character that Texas needs. Steve Sarkisian, I don't even know what to think about that hire for Texas. He's already failed once, so you're going to get rid of a dude that was actually doing decent. He had a letdown year, but still, 7-3 isn't terrible. That's not a bad year in the COVID year, and you're going to hire a guy that's already failed. I know he's a great offensive guy, and that's probably what you guys are going for. I would have hired Sarkisian as an offensive coordinator. Yes. As a head coach? No. What were you thinking, Texas? That doesn't even make any sense. That's a bad hire in my eyes. I guess he has the potential to do okay, but as far as fitting into Texas and doing what Texas needs him to do, no, that's a terrible hire. What were you thinking? I don't understand, especially firing Tom Herman for Steve Sarkisian. No. So yeah, the coaching change is a big reason why I think Texas will take a big step back. Hunter says, who do you think will win the Big 12 next year? I have Oklahoma winning the Big 12, possibly going undefeated. Let's look at their schedule real quick. Iowa State beat them last year. Kansas State has a little mini winning streak against Oklahoma right now, so that's a strange thing. Come on, you stupid computer. I'm screen sharing. You're embarrassing me. Load up. You haven't done this in a while. My hotspot's on. I don't know what's going on. So while we wait for that, hold on. Maybe if I get rid of that stuff. All right. While we wait for that, there we go. And I didn't pick Oklahoma State. I waited all that time, and you gave me Oklahoma State. You stupid computer. All right, I'm just going to cheat and go through it this way. Man, I hate them sometimes. Talking about computers. All right, so here's their schedule. Tulane win, Western Carolina win, Nebraska big win, West Virginia win at Kansas State. That's a big game. Kansas State has had their number, and I do think Kansas State's going to be halfway decent. So that's the only game I don't know about. Texas win, TCU win, at Kansas win, Texas Tech win, at Baylor win, Iowa State at home. I'm going to say a win. It's at home, and Alex Grinch is a great defensive coordinator. And at Oklahoma State. That's a win. So, to me, the team that stands in their way is Kansas State. Can Kansas State make it, 3 in a row? Never know. So, I have Oklahoma winning the Big 12 either undefeated or one loss. So, for me, the question isn't, who's going to win the Big 12. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Oklahoma. It's, are they going to win the Big 12 undefeated or with one loss? That's the question. That's the bigger question for me. So we'll see. So I'm bored, man. I haven't seen in a while. Ever since Cincinnati lost Huggins, talking about basketball, I lost most of my love for basketball. Cincinnati basketball has been a shadow of itself since then. Football, on the other hand, the Bearcats have me so excited. That's actually a strange thing to see, a basketball school turn into a football school. And if you look at this year, Alabama has also been a basketball school. They could win the SEC in basketball. Who saw that coming? I didn't even see that coming. So I'm kind of ticked off about that. They pretty much have the corner marketed, the market cornered. I said that totally backwards. They have the market cornered in football. Now they're trying to take basketball away from us. Not cool, Alabama. Not cool. But I like how Arkansas is doing in basketball right now. Morgantown says, I agree. Hugs at Cincinnati was amazing. Cincinnati made a big mistake firing him. Yes, massive mistake. But there was that one game, I believe it was the second round, 98 or 99. I believe it was the 98 tournament where West Virginia upset Bob Huggins in Cincinnati. That was a great game. I think that came down to like a half-court shot or something. That was a crazy game. I remember that. But yeah, I remember Huggins at Cincinnati. I never thought in my wildest dreams, I never thought Huggins would end up back at West Virginia. I knew he played for West Virginia, but he just, for some reason, it just seemed so far out of reach. I don't know. It seemed to me like he was going to be more attracted to actual blue blood basketball schools. And West Virginia has had major success in basketball, but they're not a basketball school. Believe it or not, West Virginia is a football first school. We've just had more success with basketball since Huggins became the head coach. Dadgummit, my cats are scratching the... Wow. Can y'all see this? I know y'all can hear that. Look at that. I'm going to have to get a new mic cover. Stupid cat. You stupid cats. I even put it out of reach and you still scratch it. I am pissed about that. Man. Anyways. Alright, let's go back to standings. Dadgummit, guys. I can't have anything nice. Golden Blue Dude is not allowed to have anything nice. Let's look at Cincinnati's real quick. That's actually a good launching point for the group of five real quick. So, they actually, the thing about this schedule is their out of conference is actually really good. if they were to go undefeated, they actually could have a better chance of making the playoffs than they did last year. I wasn't thinking about this. And it depends on how good SMU and Tulsa, maybe Navy, UCF, and Memphis, even though they don't get them in the regular season. So they get Miami of Ohio, Murray State, at Indiana. That would be a good win. At Notre Dame, that would be a good win. And I think both of those are very winnable. Temple, UCF at home, at Navy, at Tulane, Tulsa. I don't know how good Tulsa is going to be. At UCF, SMU, they're going to be good. And at East Carolina. So, yeah, that actually looks like a pretty good schedule as far as having a resume to get to the playoffs. It just depends on how good the American's going to be. I think UCF will bounce back, but they did lose their head coach. So I don't know how much of a toll that's going to be. Memphis will be good. Not sure about Tulsa. But those two games right there, Indiana and Notre Dame, those are the big ones. So maybe if Cincinnati can win those two games and then run the table, they might have a chance. That would actually be a decent resume. I do think Notre Dame and Indiana take a step back next year. Very winnable games for Cincinnati. The question will be, if they do win those two games, how good will Notre Dame and Indiana finish? And if they don't finish good, like maybe barely a bowl team, then it might not even matter. Because then it's like, well, they did beat Indiana and Notre Dame, but they turned out they weren't all that great. That's the only thing that I could see that could really, really hurt Indiana or Cincinnati, because Notre Dame's going to take a step back and Indiana will too. So I don't. That one's hard to judge. And the playoff committee made it clear last year that they really, really don't want to put a Group of 5 team in the playoffs. They really, really don't. I think the Big Ten is going to be Ohio State versus Wisconsin. I have Ohio State winning the East only by default because they lose a lot of players too. But Indiana's taking a step back. Penn State will be better, but not that much better. Maryland's not good. Rutgers not good. Michigan is Michigan and Michigan State. So the Big Ten East is actually going to be the weakest division in the Big Ten in 2021. In the West, I have Wisconsin. Northwestern, they're going to get exposed by that schedule. Iowa's going to be good. Minnesota bad. Nebraska, man, I want Nebraska to be good, but they're not going to be good. Purdue will be better. So it'll be between Wisconsin, Iowa, and Purdue. That's who I think it'll come down to. And I think Wisconsin's defense and Graham Mertz will be better. His weapons will be back. That running game's going to be good. So I have Ohio State versus Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship. But actual record. Well, they start off with the home game against Penn State. That's a win. Eastern Michigan, that's a win. That's 2-0. Neutral game in Chicago, I believe. Is it Chicago or Green Bay? It might be Green Bay. That's a win. Michigan at home, that's a win. At Illinois, that's a win. Army win at Purdue. Could be a loss. Iowa at home, that's a win. At Rutgers, win. Northwestern win. Nebraska win. At Minnesota, win. So to me, it comes down to that road trip to Purdue. So worst case scenario, Wisconsin gets to the Big Ten championship with one loss. I think they'll be better than Ohio State. So what about this? Wisconsin wins the Big Ten with one loss to Purdue. Okay? Who wins that battle between Wisconsin and, say, Clemson, whose schedule is weaker? And I have Clemson losing to Georgia in the first game, but winning out. Maybe beating North Carolina in the ACC championship. Does Clemson get the nod just because of their name? Or are they going to actually look at strength of schedule? And the problem for Wisconsin is if that turned out the way I'm predicting it to, then their loss is later in the year. Remember the old saying, if you're going to lose, you want to lose early. I have Clemson losing early to Georgia, and I have Wisconsin, if they do pick up a loss, against Purdue later in the year. So that would be an interesting debate as far as who would get in the playoffs between those two teams with those two resumes. I don't know. At the same time, Wisconsin will have that clout of beating Ohio State. So that would matter too. That would matter a lot. I don't know what the answer to that would be, but that's a very I like thinking about that. That's up in the air thing. What about Alabama too? You know, you got to throw them in the mix. I think Alabama wins the West, but let's say Georgia. Okay, let's say Alabama loses to Miami. I know, crazy. Wins the rest of the season, but loses to Georgia in a close game. Like really, really close. And Georgia's undefeated. So that's not a terrible loss. Georgia undefeated. They're in the playoffs. I'll go ahead and put Oklahoma in the playoffs. So the three teams that we would be talking about, and I want to get y'all's input on this, all right? So first team, Wisconsin. 1 loss, Big Ten champs, beating Ohio State for the Big Ten. That 1 loss, we'll say, is a road game at Purdue. And Purdue, a decent team. I'll have Purdue finishing, let's say, 3rd in the Big Ten, all right? 1 loss. That loss is to the 3rd-place team in the Big Ten West. They win the Big Ten and beat Ohio State. Resume number 1. Resume number 2, Clemson. They lose to Georgia to start the season, but they end up finishing the rest of the season, undefeated, and they beat North Carolina in the ACC championship. So their loss comes early, and they win out. Weak schedule, though. Keep that in mind. It's a weak schedule. They beat North Carolina. They finish the season ACC champs, 1 loss. And then there's Alabama. Let's say, they're inexperienced and Miami having everybody coming back. They lose in a close game to Miami. But then Alabama gets it rolling. They finish the rest of the season, all wins, get to the SEC championship, play Georgia, lose to Georgia in a close game, but Georgia turns out to be an undefeated team. Who do you take? Who would y'all take? You got Wisconsin, 1 loss, Big Ten champs, 1 loss on the road to Purdue, beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. You got Clemson, 1 loss at the beginning of the year to Georgia, undefeated Georgia. So Clemson and Alabama would have that loss, together, same loss. They finished the season ACC champs, beat North Carolina, and then Alabama, a 2-loss Alabama who loses at the beginning of the season to a very good Miami team, and then at the end of the season to an undefeated Georgia. 2 spots, 3 teams. Who do you give those last 2 spots to? I got Georgia in, Oklahoma in. You got Clemson, Alabama, and Wisconsin with the scenarios that I mentioned. 2 spots. Who's the odd man getting left out? Is it going to be Wisconsin with 1 loss, Big Ten champs? Is it going to be Clemson with 1 loss, ACC champs? Or is it going to be Alabama, 2 losses, but close losses to an undefeated Georgia and then 1 at the beginning of the season? I don't know, guys. And would Alabama's name give them the benefit of the doubt at the end of the season? It's crazy. Let's see. Rye says, I would take Wisconsin, just put a different team in. Huh? So you're taking Wisconsin, but what? Put a different team in? Sports Prod says, that's if they go undefeated the rest of the way. Committee will still put them in. Even okay, I got you. So you're saying committee. Are you talking about Clemson or Alabama? Hold on, let me go up a little bit. I don't know. That one's a little bit confusing. Anyways, let me look at Morgantown. I say we have a good chance of being good next year. West Virginia will be a surprise team in the Big 12. 8 or 9 wins with the possibility of a Big 12 championship and a New Year's Six Bowl. Yeah, I think that's West Virginia's ceiling for 2021. Will it happen? I don't know. Relatively difficult schedule. We get Virginia Tech and Maryland for our non-conference. That's not terrible, but it's not cupcakes. And we get Oklahoma and I believe Oklahoma State on the road next year. Maybe Kansas State too. But we do get Iowa State and Texas at home, which, by the way, I will be going to that Texas game. And I will be trying to get more Longhorn fans to do the horns down. I already got them to do it once, and I have proof. I took a picture. We're going to see if we can do it again. Let's make it 2 in a row. What about surprise teams in the ACC? We all know that Clemson is going to be great. We all know that North Carolina will probably win the Coastal. Miami will probably finish second, but behind those three, Notre Dame's not going to be in the ACC. Who's going to be the surprise team in the ACC? I think the answer is easier than you realize. It's almost common sense. To me, it's going to be Louisville. Because to be honest with you, last year, Louisville actually had a very, very, very letdown year. I thought they were going to be better than what they were. But they had some really bad luck. And they finished, let me go back. They finished so low in the ACC that it's almost like a given that they're going to rebound. I think they could finish as high as 4th. So they finished what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th in the ACC. I think, 12th, I'm right. That's the team in the ACC that's going to have a big rebound year. Big, big, big. They got some good recruits, a couple of nice transfers. I think Cunningham's still their quarterback. He's an underrated. Tom Board says Michigan the Big Ten winner. Who said that? I didn't say that. Who said Michigan is going to be the Big Ten winner? Heck no. I got Wisconsin winning the Big Ten, to be honest with you. All right, so Louisville. They get Ole Miss. That's a tough test at first. That might be a loss. Eastern Kentucky, that's a win. UCF at home, win. At Florida State, that's a 50-50. I think Florida State will be better, but I'll give Louisville the win. At Wake Forest, win. Virginia at home, win. Boston College, win. At NC State, we'll say a loss. Clemson, a loss, so a little 2-game losing streak. And then Syracuse, win. At Duke, win. And then Kentucky, win. So I have Louisville going 9-3. That's a big bounce back from 4-7. So I think they actually set themselves up. I'm not saying on purpose, but I'm saying just the way things turned out. Louisville set themselves up to where 2021 will seem like a massive bounce back. But it's not really. It's perspective. They just had some issues last year. I think they were better than what their record showed. So, yeah, I have Louisville finishing as high as 4th place. Let's see. So, for the Big 12, the biggest surprise team, in my opinion, will be Kansas State. They get Skylar Thompson back, and the defense returns pretty much everybody. Their schedule isn't horrific. They finished 7th in the Big 12. They get Stanford, win. SIU, big win. Nevada, win. At Oklahoma State, win. Oklahoma, I think that win streak gets snapped. So that's what, 4-1 right there. Iowa State, loss. 4-2. Back-to-back tough games. At Texas Tech, win. TCU, win. At Kansas, win. West Virginia at home, win. Baylor, win. At Texas. So I have Kansas going possibly 10-2. I think they'll actually be in the Big 12 title hunt late in the season. I still think it comes down to Iowa State and Oklahoma, especially with them having the tiebreaker over Kansas State. But Kansas State, I have them finishing 3rd, right above West Virginia. So they are the big bounce-back team that I have in the Big 10. Or in the Big 12, I'm sorry. And who knows? Maybe, Kansas State has had Oklahoma's number. And people don't realize Kansas State, their coach, Chris Kleinman, he knows how to win national championships. He's the one that got the ball rolling at North Dakota State, recruiting very well. He's already recruiting really well for Kansas State. There's only so much you can do at Kansas State, and he's getting better and better at recruiting. And I think Kansas State makes a huge bounce back, has a huge bounce back year, and their schedule isn't all that tough. So that's my pick for the Big 12. So who all did we do? We did the ACC. We did the we did the Big 12 bounce backs. I'll do one more. I'm gonna say. Let me see. I'm gonna say the Pac-12. That's who I want to do. The Pac-12. Yes. The big bounce back. No, bounce back isn't the right term. The big surprise for the Pac-12 is going to be Arizona State. Jaden Daniels, their quarterback for Arizona State. I think he's going to contend for the Heisman Trophy. Arizona State's schedule, not all that tough. Most of their defense comes back, which was their biggest issue last year. They ended up blowing out Arizona at the end of the year. But you have, I don't even know if they've had their full schedule released. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, they do. All right. So they have, hold on. Southern Utah win. UNLV win. At BYU win. BYU is going to take a massive step backwards. Colorado win. At UCLA, we'll say a win. Stanford win. At Utah, loss. Washington State win. USC, the Trojans at home, win. At Washington, loss. At Oregon State, loss. So I have Arizona State going 10-2. All of his receivers will be back. Jaden Daniels, he's going to be a Heisman Trophy contender, and he'll be the leading passing quarterback in the Pac-12. In other words, he'll lead in all statistics. Great dual threat, and he's going to get Arizona State. Arizona State will win the Pac-12 South, and he will get Arizona State to the Pac-12 championship, where I believe they'll probably end up playing Washington. To be honest with you, I think as far as getting to the playoffs, I think the Pac-12's best chance of getting to the playoffs would be Arizona State. So those two games against those two road games against Utah and Washington are massive for the Pac-12. If Arizona State can survive those two road games, I have Arizona State possibly contending for the playoffs if they can avoid any letdown losses. So there you go. For the ACC, the biggest surprise is going to be Louisville. For the Pac-12, the biggest surprise is going to be Arizona State. And for the Big 12, the biggest surprise is going to be Kansas State. We're going to do another show tomorrow, probably around the same time. And I love that name that Bubba Clemson accidentally suggested. I still love it, though. Dinner Rush, that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to label it, all that stuff. So this is going to be called Dinner Rush. And what we'll do tomorrow is I'll go through the rest of the conferences and talk about the surprise teams and the letdown teams. By the way, if you're new to this channel and you just stumbled across it, you're like, man, what the heck is this? Golden Blue Dude. Hit that subscribe button. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, and I do videos every day. I might start doing lives every day. It's going really, really well, so we'll see how it goes. Wife's calling. I got to get off here. I appreciate everybody stopping.